For blank page starting. But the top of the pinnacle is the defending champion, and that, of course, is Scott Dixon. He won this race as a rookie a year ago, and then he went on through the championship battle. And going into the last race of the season, there were 5 different contenders that could have walked away with the championship. Dixon did exactly what was needed. He got the championship at the end of the day. The question now, Jackaroot, is can he repeat?
Well, Paul, if you're into numerology, the answer would be yes. Consider this fact. 1 year ago, this guy started in the 12th position, went on to win. Where's he starting today? 12th position. Let's put the question to him. 12 seems to be your lucky number here. Can you score the double?
That'd be nice. I think it was kind of funny. We sort of were hoping to break in the top 10. We knew we were going to struggle for qualifying, but we have a great race car here yet again. Hopefully we can move from 12th up to 1st, but there's a lot of teams out there that are going to try and stop it. Team Target have done a great job. You know, we're struggling. We knew we had been for the first part of the preseason, but hey, I think we have to work it out.
Well, there were some other changes in terms of teams, etc. In fact, one of the big stories in the offseason was a single-car team driver. There was a 2-time champion that Scott unseated that moved to literally the George Steinbrenner of IndyCar racing. For more on that, let's welcome the newest member to the IndyCar Series reporting team, no stranger to ESPN's Motorsports. Let's say hello to Jamie Little. Hey, Jamie.
Hey, Jack, how's it going? I'm with Elio Castroneves right now, and Sam Hornish Jr., one of the big talks of the year, of course, you joining this team. Sam, you're used to being a one-man band. Here you are, none other than Elio Castroneves, one of your biggest rivals as your teammate. How's it going?
It's going pretty good. Everybody at Marble Team Penske has really welcomed me along with Elio, and we've had a great time so far. Yeah, as you can see, he's a bucket of laughs. But no, we're having a good time so far. You know, big rivalry between us over the past couple of years, and I think that'll be even strengthened today. So hopefully we'll have a lot of 1-2 finishes over the season and see what happens.
All right, and on over to Elio. Yesterday in qualifying, you had some issues. You had to re-qualify. You only qualified 10th. Today you spun out. Are you thinking a little bit like your confidence is kind of wavering? Are you feeling strong?
No, not at all. Unfortunately, we took a chance yesterday. Didn't work out. Today, we're trying to see the limit. We went over the limit, but I think this is part of the game. Obviously, you want to go as fast as you can. This race is going to be wild.
Wild. All right, you're going to see Elio row 5. You're going to see Sam row 4, and more on the front of the pack. The big story down to Jerry.
Well, thank you very much, Jamie. You know, today's front row involves a tale of 2 teams that dodged near disaster and overcame incredible adversity in 2003. Buddy Rice bounced from his ride at the end of last year, ironically by the team he bumped off the pole in qualifying, came here only to sub for the recovering Kenny Breck, who somehow survived that frightening crash at Texas last year in his Ray Hall ride. And, Buddy, what does this pole start today mean for you and this entire Ray Hall team?
Well, first off, I just want to send a get well soon to Kenny Breck, who I'm filling in for, and Tim Ryder. And with the way the performance of the Team Ray Hall car has been, it's probably going to help them come back to a speedy recovery and be able to get back in here, especially for Kenny. And right now, it's just been superb. First pole for myself, first pole for Team Ray Hall. And, you know, it's just excellent. Pioneer Argent been on board, and the Honda G-Force combination has been working excellent this weekend. So we should have a good weekend.
Hey, good luck to you.
Thank you.
Outside of row 1, Alex Barron has helped pull the Eddie Cheever Red Bull boys back out of the despair, the frustrations and failure of a year ago. And, Alex, what would it take for this team just not only to contend today, but possibly for a title this year?
Well, I think most of all, we're just trying to progress as a team and be consistent. We want to get some good points here at Homestead, and you go turn around and go to Phoenix. So we just want to be consistent week in and week out.
Hey, good luck to you.
Thank you.
These are just 2 of the compelling stories that exemplify what the IRL IndyCar Series is all about. And there are many, many more to come. So let's get this party started.
South Florida, the American destination that dances to a Latin beat. Miami's cultural cocktail is about to get a whale of a high-octane mixer. Success in the Indy Racing League is measured by inches and milliseconds. Some faces, colors, and cars have changed in the offseason, but that look in the driver's eyes is indisputable evidence that it's time to go racing. And they're going to go 3 wide at the line, and it's Hornish! Hornish takes it at the line. They're inches away at 214 miles an hour. The 60-second drive. From beautiful South Florida, it's the Toyota Indy 300, ready to start the IRL Indycar Series season. Now, if that's not enough stories for you, as we've suggested already, Scott Goodyear is back with us again. And there are a couple of other things. The Indy Shuffle is underway. That means drivers changing teams, and 5 big significant changes in that.
Absolutely. A lot of pressure on drivers when they change teams. New engineers, new crew chiefs. They want to go out and make a great first impression. A lot of pressure right now on Sam Hornish Jr. at Team Penske, the biggest team here in Indy racing right now. He certainly wants to make a great impression. A lot of butterflies in a lot of drivers' stomachs.
And then a change to the track here at Miami Homestead. A big change.
Absolutely. I'll tell you, high banking here right now, 20 degrees. These guys are going 220 miles an hour, 217 miles an hour average. These guys have a lot bigger banking than before. Previously, it was only 6 degrees.
Now, there are the teams that we're talking about, the ones that have major changes, and of course some pretty significant rookies coming in this year. The change in the track with some winds right now blowing head on down the backstretch, very, very hard. What's that going to do?
Absolutely. You see the big bank that we had there? That's a 20-degree banking that we had. Here's the original track. When the wind was up, it was almost impossible to drive. It was almost a copy of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, 4 distinctive turns. It changed in 1997. Still a difficult track to drive. Look at the banking that was there. Only 6 degrees back in the old days. They changed that, and look, it's a progressive banking now. 18, 19, 20 degrees. The drivers are having a little bit of difficulty right now getting the car to work all the way through the banking. Very difficult. Very tough on tires right now, Paul.
And you think that that banking doesn't have some sort of impact? We're talking at least a 20-mile-an-hour average jump from last year to this year.
Absolutely, and these guys right now know this. It's a new game for everybody here today. Not only the engineers, the drivers, but also the tire manufacturer.
All right, now let's take a look at the Toyota starting grid as the cars begin to roll. On the pole, it's Buddy Rice. You met him earlier, his first career pole. He's replacing Kenny Breck. Outside is Alex Barron, who rounds out the All-American front row. In row 2, it's Thomas Scheckter. Moving over, the 2-time championship Panther team. And Dario Franchitti returning to the series from his back injuries. Brian Herta is in row 3. He won at Kansas last year. And the rookie Mark Taylor, the 2003 Menards Infiniti Pro Series champion. In row 4, Sam Hornish, 2-time series champion. First start for Team Penske. And Tony Kanaan, last year's pole sitter here. He won last year at Phoenix. In the 5th row, Ed Carpenter. He makes his first start for Red Bull Cheever Racing. And Elio Castroneves, who won 2 races in the league last year. In row 6, Robbie Buell, a 2-time race winner in the series, and the defending champion, Scott Dixon, starting the same place he did a year ago. Darren Manning is in row 7, his debut for Target Chip Ganassi, and Dan Weldon, one of 4 drivers for the Andretti Green Team. Greg Ray, the 99 series champion, and Tora Takagi, who had 9 top 10 finishes in his rookie season. Scott Sharp, and alongside Kotsu Matsura, comes to the IRL from Formula Renault V6. And A.J. Foyt IV will start alone in the last row. That's the way they line up. They're already on the track and set to go. Here's how the field breaks down for you. 19 guys, 6 countries. Dallara, the favored mark.
Dallara right now has been the strongest chassis in testing. You heard Scott Dixon talk about a little bit behind the 8-ball. That's because he's using the G-Force chassis. Everybody has to set their cars out for the rules by the first race. And right now, everybody feels that Dallara might have a bit of an advantage when they run by themselves. Now, today will be the true test because underneath the green flag, it's back to racing conditions. And this is when all the teams are going to try and find out what they need to change in the cars to improve them.
They're going to have 9 sets of tires this weekend. Normally, Firestone gives them 8 sets of Firehawks, but they have decided to add 1 extra set in. They had them here, and anything they can do to help out the teams, they decided to do it. Plenty of onboards, like on board with Scott Sharp. We've got them all up and down this starting field for you. Tora Takagi, 16th starting position. Looking right over the top of that helmet. How about Scott Dixon on board with the defending race champion and series champion? There's that rookie Mark Taylor. Scott and I both expect a lot out of him today. And, of course, Thomas Scheckter. Kind of strange seeing a different helmet in that Panther, that bright yellow Pennzoil Panther car. There's the front row. Rice down on the inside, Barron on the high side. Scheckter and Franchitti in row 2. They come off the 4th turn. They look for the green flag. The season is underway. Well, they go 6 wide as they start for the first turn and then thread down. Now coming onto the backstretch for the first time. Scheckter comes up to challenge Rice from the 2nd row. Scheckter and Rice continue their fight. Barron is dropped back. Franchitti comes up high in that blue and white car to battle him. Well, the honor for the first lap of the season is going to go to Buddy Rice. Back in the back, the Penske cars now try to come forward through the field. Scheckter tucks in. Now Barron down low tries to come up.
Paul, we saw actually a red and white car on the start go below the white line that's on the front stretch, and I think that might have been Manning himself, actually. He's starting to fade back through the pack. You are not allowed to go below the white line that's on the left of the racetrack, this line that's over here, whether it's on the back stretch or the front stretch, and he certainly did that on the start, along with passing cars before he got to the start line. You cannot do that on the start.
Scheckter makes a move early. This is a track, I would think, Scott, that you don't really have to worry as we keep an eye on the battle with Barron. He dropped back substantially.
A little off the pace. Now, there's a lot of wind out here that we have from the time that the cars were actually running over the weekend and also testing. We probably have about a 35 or 40 mile an hour wind going along the backstretch into turn 2. These cars will handle different on both ends of the racetrack, and these guys haven't been in the car since 9:30 this morning, so they're probably getting a feel for that.
Look at this battle as Hornish tries to get down inside of Kanaan. Can't do it, loses a little speed. Kanaan comes up on his teammate Franchitti.
You saw Sam fall back a little bit. He's getting that dirty air from the car that's in front, that disturbed air that comes off the wings, and this car starts to wash out. That means his car will not turn for him.
We're trying to help all of us with some of these colors and numbers this year. The green 11, of course, that's Tony Kanaan. Up on the high side, the 6 car, Gil DeFerrin's car last year, that's Sam Hornish.
Actually, that was an interesting move, Paul, because usually the fast way around this racetrack's on the bottom. Sam has shown again, just did it in the yellow car. Now he's doing it in the red and white car. He's going around the outside.
Yeah, there's really no such thing as usual on this track now with the banking. It seems like they can put it anywhere they want.
Well, they thought they might not be able to run flat out when this track was actually rebuilt, but they've come not only to run flat out, but they're running 2 abreast, and they think 2.5, some of the guys said.
Here's Dan Weldon, that red and white car, 26. He's made it up to 7th. As he carves his way up the field, he's got all of his teammates now. All 4 of the Andretti green cars are running together.
Nervous time for Michael Andretti. One small mistake by somebody, and this day could be done for all 4 cars.
Oh, yeah, Franchitti slips it all. There's a couple $100,000, couple $1 million gone.
You know, but as race drivers, they're not thinking about that right now. They're just fighting for position. As you can see, Kanaan moving up the racetrack now to try and defend position. His car is not fast, Paul. Earlier on, he was actually trying to push Sam Hornish along the track and couldn't hold his position there either.
Buddy Rice out front, turning laps at 213 miles an hour. Hornish trying to catch him now from 2nd place. That's Scheckter, the bright yellow car, back in 3rd.
We're about 10. Nice and smooth. Looking good.
Great feeling for Buddy Rice when you get to lead the race, have the opportunity just to get out there and put your foot flat down.
Hornish on the move, 2nd place. Jack Arute, what's his story?
Well, Paul, when Sam Hornish arrived at Marlboro Team Penske, Tim Cindric, the president, wanted to fit him for the car. They were concerned about where the left pedal location would be. And they sat him in the car and they said, well, where do you want the left pedal? He said, I really don't care. And they said, you mean you don't care? Why? And he said, because when I drive, I put my left pedal, my left foot on my right foot on the gas pedal. That's standing on the gas.
Oh, you bet it is. A 2-foot gas stander. Sam Hornish. interesting too, Scott, because we're talking a guy that in the past, Sam Hornish, has had on the radio as a spotter Pancho Carter, who has talked him through all of the races, coached him while he was spotting for him. It's different now. He has Tom Wirtz. Wirtz says that he's not that much into the coaching role.
You know, and that's the key thing. Spotters are such a crucial part of what's going on here right now. Remember, you're going the length of a football field in less than a second. These guys are traveling speeds that are incredible. And you need to be comfortable with your spotter to let you know what's not only happening in front of you, but also behind you if somebody's below or high. And right now, these drivers going through the turns, listening to the spotters, getting some information. I talked to Pancho Carter this morning. He said, you know, having Schechter in the car maybe a little bit different than having Sam in the car. Both of them really don't talk too much, but the key thing I think for Thomas Schechter this year to keep him calm when he's got excited before is going to be Pancho Carter.
And of course, Sam did this on his own. He got rid of the beard from last year. A lot of us wondered, well, when you go to Roger Penske's team, what's the grooming standard? I asked Sam. He said, I just shaved it off, didn't want to get into that. By the way, the leader, Buddy Rice, also, we're going to take you back just a few laps. There's Carpenter, number 52 on the high side. Boy, he got it way, way up there.
Anytime you're in the gray, boy, you stand a chance. Oh, and almost touching, actually.
So it's Rice, former bearded man, shaved his off too, and Sam Hornish Jr. Thomas Schechter is third at Miami. You're on board now, looking right out the visor of Scott Sharp's car. In fact, look down in the corner, you with the big 90-inch screens. That's his nose.
Actually, very interesting. You saw his hand working over in this area. He was just shifting gears a moment. He's watching these lights up here. They tell him the RPMs. He does not need to look at a gauge. You see the yellow lights come on from the green, and then it goes to red, and that tells him when to shift, just as he did right now. When he comes to that headwind, when he comes out of the turn right there, he'll shift down to probably 5th gear, getting a little bit of draft right now, the dirty air from the car up ahead. And the big flag that's over on his right-hand side, he sees going down the straightaways, showing the wind still pushing at 40 miles an hour. Getting on the high side now. You can hear him ease off the gas because the wall's coming up on the right-hand side, flat back on it. Watch for him to shift over here on the right-hand side, just there, up to top gear. A lot of work. All these lights he's seeing in his peripheral vision on the steering wheel right now. Also now you're looking down to turn 3 down here when you come out of turn 2. Remember, a football field in less than a second. What a ride that is.
And the past couple laps, Sharp has been battling with the Target Chip Ganassi car of Darren Manning.
And you can hear that rev limiter. He's in top gear. The wind is behind him, and that means the top gear in that car is not long enough, and he's running on the rev limiter. If he gets into a race condition at the end of the day, he will not have enough speed.
There's Tony Kanaan in 5th place right now. Elio Castroneves high on him, and just in front of him is Dario Franchitti. And Jamie, you've been watching Kanaan. What's up?
That's right, guys. Remember, there's a fuel change this year, 30 gallons instead of 35. So the team is reminding Tony Kanaan, the number 11 car, think about fuel.
Yeah, actually, you just brought up something that's going to be really significant here today, because everyone's a little worried about tire wear. Not that it will wear, but that how long it will take to lose its adhesion compared to how soon they run out of fuel. It's kind of an unknown factor here. And everybody's wondering what a tire fuel stint will be.
Well, very important, Paul, with this new banking that we showed you at the beginning of the show, 20 degrees with a tight radius that's on this racetrack right now. Firestone is seeing about 15% increase on the right rear load per lap, and sometimes it spikes as well as high as 20.
Well, the Andretti Green Team are just hammering on Elio Castroneves. He's been riding that higher line. There you see it, up alongside of Franchitti. Tony Kanaan's ducking in behind. I assume he can help Dario a little.
Absolutely. If you get 2 cars running back to back, they're going to go a little bit quicker. But right now, you know, he's in a situation where he's got to wait for one of those guys to make a move. You know, does he choose his teammate? He probably should.
Up at the front, it remains Rice, Hornish, and Schechter. Then this battle. And oh, by the way, look at the group behind him. Herta, Dixon, Weldon, Taylor, they're all there.
Oh, this field is so deep this year, Paul. A lot of talk up and down the paddock right now is who has a chance to win the whole overall championship. Wide open.
you guys are talking about the concerns over the tire wear. This morning they had a Menards Infinity Pro Series race, and Al Spire from Firestone and the engineer saw something they had not seen all weekend. They saw some heat building up in the right rear tire, producing what was called a blistering effect. Now, Al talked to some of the IndyCar teams just a moment ago prior to the start of this race. He said he felt what's happening was they're having too much camber in the right rear tire. They're going beyond the air pressure recommendations, and they're getting very extreme with the right rear spring. All that is ripping the rubber off by adding more heat. That's a bit of a concern here early on today in the IndyCar event.
You know what, though, with the preseason testing, they noticed the tires were wearing. They'd never raced on this new bank surface, and it was really creating some challenges for the Firestone tire engineers. And I said, boy, that's really got to bug you guys. And their answer was the opposite of what you would have thought. It's, no, we love a challenge. Castroneves finally gets clear of Franchitti. He runs alone, at least for the moment.
Here's some of that spotter conversation going back and forth between the spotters who are on the roof of the building here on the front stretch above our booth and above the suites, talking right down to the car.
You heard the warning from the spotter, too, that this guy, Scott Dixon, is right behind Franchitti. Just sneaking right up through the field. Started 12th, now 6th.
See, he runs a little high, trying to get that clean air. As soon as the car moves in front of him, he's off the throttle just a little bit.
Go there. On the corner, inside. You're clear.
That's a spotter for Franchitti right now, letting him know.
Caution is out. And as we look around the track, must be a debris because we don't see anything obvious.
This is going to be one busy pit lane, Paul, because there's not a driver out there right now. I don't think it's going to take the opportunity to come in for the fuel stop. Most importantly, have a look at the tires.
Yeah, everybody thought that as soon as they got to the 15th lap, that'd be a good time to come in. It's the 32nd lap. Look at them, they're all laid out.
Now, this is where the pit crew earns their money. Remember, they can do a faster stop than the next guy in the next pit stop. In the next pit box, these guys will get in their driver out ahead of the driver possibly that's in front of them.
Well, in fact, at this race last year, the Target Chip Ganassi team gave Scott Dixon the lead of the race with the pit stop, something that he couldn't accomplish on the track.
Absolutely, and that was in front of a man by the name of Gilles DeFerrin, who is going to join us in our booth probably soon.
Yeah, he'd been the Grand Marshal all weekend. But I think that not being in the car might be wearing on him. We'll ask him. Take a look down through the field. There's Elio, there's Dario Franchitti, Scott Dixon, Tony Kanaan, the 11 car, Dan Weldon, his teammate, third teammate, Brian Herta, and of course, Buddy Rice, who's the third time in his history in the IRL that he has led a race. And he continues to do that, but things could change here shortly. Pit stops make all the difference in the world, but let's remember too, first pit stops of the season. You could have all kinds of problems, unanticipated results. Barron, he's sitting down in 14th place, so he must be having some trouble after starting on the front row.
Certainly not something that's pretty usual with Barron, because he has had an opportunity to actually run strong, did the testing here, has been strong since they got off the trailer. So was there a change made in that car before they started the race, or is something just not well? And we can find out during the pit stops. We'll see if there's any wing changes or tire pressure changes going on that car, and look for him to work his way back up through the next segment.
Well, what's interesting to me, Scott, is he has dropped back to be with his teammate back there in the 52 car. And that, of course, is Ed Carpenter. Now here's the front of the field. Under the caution, they head for the pit road. First to see him, Jerry Punch.
And guys, remember Buddy Rice, very first pit stop with this Team Rahal group. Remember, he's subbing for Kenny Brack. And just a moment ago, Buddy said no changes whatsoever. This car is perfect. No air pressure, no wing. Put 4 new Firestones on, fill it full of fuel, and I'm ready to go. That's how much he likes what's happening with this Pioneer machine. Let's check in with Jamie.
All right, guys, we're with Dario Franchitti. They're doing a 4-wheel change right now. Look for maybe an adjustment on the front. He said the car's down a bit.
car that may beat and gets out awfully quick is Sam Hornish Jr. Fellas, if you want to get an idea of what it's like to do a pit stop, when you have to carry these tires over the wall, it's a little bit different than in NASCAR. You don't have to carry them. You're set up, but you have to be precise to do it in less than 13 seconds.
Did you see on our pit out board too what that did to the order? It dropped Rice way down to 5th place, and that's exactly what we're talking about, pit stops. Joe DeFerrin's kind of moseyed into the booth, and he was watching the Penske pit stops and gave it a big pump, said he's great. Got a problem here. That's Carpenter, of course. We'll check, find out what's going on with him. They'll get him fired, get him back into the fight. First caution of the day, first pit stops of the day on what has so far been a furious race. Well, the crowd comes to its feet. Green flag comes out. We're racing once again in the Toyota Indy 300. Giant crowd here today, poured in, ready to see some racing, and they're seeing it. Coming into turn 3 now. Castroneves, Hornish, the 2 Penske cars, and then you're on board now with Thomas Scheckter.
Riding along actually with Scott Dixon. I think Dixon got it past Scheckter just a moment ago. A little bit of change in that previous lap, and now Schecter's back on the hunt.
Thank you for that. I owe you $20, right?
Oh, that was the bet, wasn't it?
It was the bet.
Okay.
Oh, I got to get you back.
You hear him easing off the throttle, all that disturbed air we talk about in front. Now here's where he gets the advantage. That tailwind's behind him.
Car into the wall up in turn 4. Oh, no.
That's our pick for
that
the
was
rookie.
Our pick to win. Mark Taylor. We were really hoping that this guy was going to do well. It looked like he could. Full of confidence coming in here.
A lot of confidence off the trailer, very fast, obviously with Panther Racing, a great team. Just a great session this morning. Felt very strong. I talked to him. He said, you know, I'm not really nervous.
Watch for debris. Yeah, back way off that 3 car so you can see what's on the racetrack there so you don't run over something.
You hear all the radio conversations that are going on right now, but he said, I feel very confident. I just want to get my whole race in throughout the whole day.
Of course, carrying the colors there of Menards, Johns Manville. That's that gotta hurt. Not only being a rookie, but first of the season.
Well, regardless of the injuries maybe to your arms, your legs from hitting a wall at around 200 miles an hour, the pride hurts, Paul, because right now you're sitting in that car going, I can't believe that happened. First race, first opportunity, and however he got up there, I'll tell you what, it's not a great feeling.
All right, keep an eye to the back there.
He's already high. You saw mid-turn. Looks like he's just a little bit high. The tires are cold from being fresh, being put on in the pit lane. A little bit out of the black on the bottom of the racetrack, which they call the groove, and you get up the top of the gray, and the car just starts to slide away from you.
We have an onboard view as well.
Riding along through up to 3 right now. Remember, you're already still going up to about 200 miles an hour. Starting to look high, thinking about maybe passing the car up in front. Starts to turn down. The tires are cold there. It wiggles out once. It's got oversteer. It tries to bite you in the back, and sure enough, you can't catch it. The tires are cold right now, and that's when the back end starts to walk itself around.
Yeah, there's a little lesson that you don't necessarily learn in a series that doesn't have pit stops for you. You can't come out and really hot-foot it because the tires coming out of the pits are colder. They don't adhere as good. You really gotta soft pedal that puppy until it's up to full temperature.
Well, just learned a big lesson, and probably a very expensive lesson for the team right now. Listen to the throttle when he goes through top gear. And the big bang. You heard him get off the throttle before he actually steered the car. He knew something was going on.
A lot of really expensive noises for Mark Taylor. They're the top 5 with Team Penske on point here in Miami.
And there's the 2 car, the Johns Manville car from Panther Racing that Mark Taylor brought out the first caution of the 2004 season. All that he told his crew after he came to rest, Guys, I'm just so sorry. Now, just before that second caution of the day, we checked in on some tires. I know there's been a lot of concern. This is the set of tires that came off of the leader, Helio Castroneves' car. They are so good, checking all of the wear. Scott Goodyear and everybody upstairs is going to be pleased to know this Marlboro Team Penske team intends to use these Firestone Firehawks a little bit while later. Why? Because when they crashed earlier today in practice, they lost a set. Well, now with the good tire wear, they've got a set back. Let's check in down the other side of pit road with Jerry Punch. Doc?
Thank you very much, Jack. You know, tire wear wasn't a concern for Buddy Rice, but he had to make an unscheduled stop because of this right here. Take a look. A cut in this brand new tire that I just put on a few laps ago in their pit stop. He felt it going down. So this yellow, a huge break for Buddy Rice, our pole sitter, able to come in and get this right rear tire off after it was cut by debris on the racetrack. Guys?
Jerry Punch got a pretty nice manicure there.
You know, but that little slot that we saw in the tire actually is very interesting to note that they can see that in the pit lane simply because of the telemetry.
After a rainout last week, the NHRA Powerade Drag Racing Series makes its 04 debut on ESPN2 with the 44th annual K&N Filters Winter Nationals at the historic Pomona Raceway. Catch 2 hours of final eliminations tonight at 10 Eastern on ESPN2. And for more, log on to ESPN.com. Well, if you're up in the north and suffering with the cold weather, we want you to know that all your friends down here are having a great time as we start the season. Now, if you've just joined us, we want to take you back to the start of the race and show you what's happened thus far. Green flag came out on that front row of Buddy Rice and Alex Barron. And Carpenter got himself high and almost in trouble. And then, most recently, Mark Taylor caught the wall. Serious damage to the car. He's apparently okay. No report of a problem there. And Carpenter back in as well. Buddy Rice has been in and out of the pits a couple of times now, the early leader of the race. And at this moment, it's the Penske team. Helio Castroneves and Sam Hornish Jr. first and second behind the pace car. Scott Dixon is third. Thomas Schechter is fourth. And Tony Kanaan is fifth. They're just waiting to get the track cleaned up, totally ready to go, and then we'll go racing here at the Homestead Miami Speedway.
You know, I spoke to Helio Castroneves this morning, Paul, and I said, you know, a little bit of problem this morning, but do you feel confident that you can get out there? Should I bet on you today? And he goes, hey, I'm so confident, I'm going to bet on myself. He's done a great job, obviously. Little mishap this morning with that spin, and he can certainly pull another win off here.
And we showed our expertise by picking the first guy out of the race.
Yeah, that we did.
Both of us, not just one of us, both of us.
Well, I didn't bet on him, I can tell you that one.
So some final check with the teams as they're getting ready to go back full speed. We've got Lord of the Rings on the internet. It's Oscar night. It seemed appropriate to name something that way, along with the Academy Awards on ABC tonight. Who do you think will be the Lord of the Wings in the Lord of the Rings in the IRL IndyCar Series? You can cast your vote. Just get in there on the ESPN.com. Flags out again. We're green again.
We talked about the banking, but there again, that high banking allows these guys to be 2 abreast at the start, 3 abreast going down the straightaway.
Going on here because Dixon immediately got the second underneath Hornish, and then Tony Kanaan came under him.
Remember, flat out around here, up to 220 miles an hour already through the turn, side by side, getting very close there.
So here's the fight for the lead. Dixon, last year's winner, trying to take it over from Helio Castroneves. Tony Kanaan coming into third, picked up 2 slots.
That radio traffic we talked about before, coming from the spotters high on the roof, they can see the whole track from the top of the complex.
When you're talking the IRL IndyCar Series, you're talking fast. At the front of the field, they've been running up above 214 miles an hour. And this battle at the front doesn't quit, it just gets tighter.
Scott Dixon got his first taste of racing from his parents when he was just 1 month old. Went to their little dirt racetrack in Australia. He started racing at the age of 13, guys, with a special permit. But there was one problem. He never wanted to go to Victory Lane after winning at age 13. He just wanted to go and watch cartoons after the race.
Right now, he's trying to hold on to the lead, and he's got Elio alongside. The 3-car, Elio Castroneves, counts Miami as home. That's a beautiful place here. Taking a look from the target on board. Castroneves up high.
And right behind him, Paul, now is Hornish. Hornish actually has regained from the slow start that he had on the restart of the race. And he's right behind Castroneves right now. You can hear him easing off the gas. Dixon just a little bit pushing on the bottom. Means the car won't turn. Looks like the high line might be the quickest right now. See, if he keeps his foot on the gas, he would slide up the racetrack. These guys are getting awfully close on the right front. And he's watching that. Watch his hand on the bottom left as he's starting to work his roll bars.
They've been swapping, running side by side like this, swapping the lead each lap.
Paul, he's not happy with his car right now. Watching this corner over here, he'll be using the roll bars to adjust his car.
Hornish is up there, where he can help Castroneves. That voice that you heard, Jill DeFerrin slid into the booth, put on a headset. Jill, how are you? I bet you're wishing you're down there.
I'm very well, Paul. I tell you, I'm quite happy up here.
I think he started to move in his chair when he saw how close they were running wheel to wheel. And it happened to me when I retired and I saw how close they ran at Texas. And I went, I can't believe those guys are doing that. I remember my wife saying to me, she said, I've been watching you do that for about 4 or 5 years now. So now you get to watch it, Joe, and you're probably going, I wouldn't do that for all the money. And see.
I tell you, now I saw Elio going outside of Dixon there through 3 and 4, and they actually did look like they touched a little bit. That's why Dixon got out of the throttle, and not only Elio, but also Sam went by him as well. So, and now you can see Dixon dropping back a little bit. Tony is just going by him now.
It's a lot more comfortable up here, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I love it.
We're riding with Tora Takagi, who gets his spotter information in Japanese. Just ahead of him there is Barron, who started on the front row.
Certainly looks like he's having a problem with his car. You watch how low he gets down to the line over here, and then he comes back out high, then he tries to get back down the low side again.
Up now toward the front with Schechter currently in 5th. 4th and 3rd right there, 1st and 2nd, just a little bit around the corner.
Now this is great for Thomas. Remember, he doesn't like when he's got a fast car to sit back behind people, but he's getting his patience right now, and he has to keep it. It's one thing Pancho Carter said to me this morning. He said, I'm going to be telling him patience, patience, patience on the radio all day.
There has been some talk, Scott, about the turbulence. Now, we got 2 cars right in front of Thomas Schechter. Turbulence is bubbling off of both of them. You can't really tuck right up under there. Watch him make an idiot of me right now by doing it. How much turbulence out there?
Well, there is certainly turbulence. The faster the track, the more turbulent air you get from the cars that are in front, which are right up here. And I tell everybody, it's like following behind a tractor trailer on the highway and your car starts to move around. That's exactly what these guys are feeling, but certainly at a speed of 215, 20 miles an hour, the car's moving up the road, as you can see, and watch his steering down here. Watch his hands. It's not a smooth ride for him. He'll certainly be jostling the wheel a little bit. Every time he feels a car move, he has to respond through the steering wheel. Off the throttle, you can hear him right now because he's getting that dirty air, cannot keep the speed.
Watching the Firestone telemetry, too. Throttle just pinned. Boy, gave it a little jerk there as the back end washed away. Castroneves and Hornish at the front of the field, followed by Dixon, Kanaan, and Schechter.
Supercross record with 13 125 wins. You know, I thought Supercross riders were insane until I came out here to IRL. You guys, it's so exciting down here in pit row. And right now, the update with Team Penske. Roger, very happy with the driving skills of these guys today. I talked to Sam Hornish yesterday. He said, I'm not worried about where we qualify. We've got a good car and we'll run up front tomorrow. That's all that matters. Paul?
And how about for running at 160.1 miles an hour, the average? Jerry Punch.
And Paul, reigning Infinity Pro Series champion Mark Taylor had his hands full about 15 laps ago. Mark, what happened out there?
Just one of those things that happens. I mean, I'm learning all the time. It was a bit of a shame that the race ended so early, but we had a great weekend. And it was just one of those things that we got through a pit stop well, and we were able to run near the front, which is what I wanted to do. We ended up qualifying well, and just a shame to end like that, but it was a good weekend for me.
But the important thing is you had fun, right?
Exactly. I mean, just thanks to Menards and John's Manville, it was a great opportunity for me. Panther Racing gave me a great car. And, I mean, I'm looking forward to Phoenix and hopefully doing better there than I did here.
You will hear that name a lot before this year is over. Rookie Mark Taylor out early here at Homestead, Miami.
Oh, yeah, and one of they're all pretty good guys. Mark is always kind of a little laid back, but fun to talk to. At the front, Penske team, Castroneves and Hornish, and this great battle going on here between Scheckter and Tony Kanaan, and watching it all as the defending Indy 500 champion, Jill DeFerrin, now retired, though I don't believe that yet, Jill. What have you been seeing?
I tell you, it's been quite an interesting race, and just now you see Tony dropping back. I don't know why he started to drop back, and Scheckter was stuck behind him, and then finally he made it by, and we'll see if Scheckter has enough speed now to catch up to the leaders. Scott is slowly, you know, making ground and catching the two Penske guys, and now they'll just, you know, wait, I think, until later on in the race to try to decide who's going to make a big dash for the win.
Jill, it looks like when you get alongside, it slows you down.
It does for sure. I mean, when Scott and Tony were running side by side a few laps ago, they were probably going 1.5 miles to 2 miles slower than they would if they run in single file. And that's why eventually you probably saw Tony back off a little bit and say, okay, let's run in line and see if we can catch the Penske guys up front.
But you know, that's always the voice of a champion, Paul, because he always read the traffic so well and played it so well. But, you know, I see him jittering in his chair over here when everything's always happening. He's sort of like a kid in school just looking out the window. And it's a different perspective up here, but you can really tell how fast they're going when you're sitting up here. It doesn't seem that fast in the car, does it?
I tell you, it's scary to think that I used to do this.
That's exactly what I said. It's the safest seat up here.
Jill, your new replacement down here, Helio Castroneves, has now got a new teammate, and you heard Jamie Little talking about how Sam Hornish's drive was going. Well, you guys are absolutely correct. Tim Cindric made the determination that running side by side was costing the Marlboro Team Penske Group 0.3 of a second a lap. So now they're under team orders, at least for the time being, to go nose to tail and use the draft to try and pull away from Scott Dixon, the defending champion.
I think that's absolutely right. I don't think you will see Sam and Helio battling for the win right now. Right now, they're just running a line, try to pull away from everybody else. So if they got to decide the race, they'll just decide the race between themselves. Actually, Sam is probably in a better position than Helio right now because he's sitting behind him, saving a little bit of fuel. You know, if it's a green stop, he'll probably go a lap further, and that's their game plan. Helio and I used to do that last year all the time.
Yeah, but twice now we have seen Dixon run up on the back of Hornish.
Yeah, he's trying to look for a way by. You know, he's got to decide if he's got enough speed to lead the race or not. It looks like he's pretty happy there. He'll probably back off on the mixture trim and save a bit of fuel and run in line and get away from everyone. It's much easier to battle between 3 people than between 10 people.
We take it back with Sharp.
Everything looks good, Scotty. Everything looks good.
Sharp's currently running in 14th place. Take a look at this just a few minutes ago. He's trying to get by Greg Ray.
Now, Ray Spotter should be telling me he's there, and look at this, so close, and I'll tell you, they white-walled those tires. Actually, both Jill and I moved in the chair on that one.
That was scary.
But now you're back live looking out of Scott Sharp's visor cam, and he's getting into that rev limiter quite a bit, Scott.
Absolutely, and I think that maybe they might have just misjudged on gears, because we talked about the lights that come on there. The green goes to yellow, then to red, and then he has to start using the gear shifter selector, which is over here on his bottom right. Now that's simply because the big strong wind that we talked about, you've got a big tailwind going down to turn 1 where he's headed right now, and then you end up having a headwind going from turn 2 to turn 3, and probably a good 8 or 10 miles an hour slower down that end of the straightaway.
We take it back to the front. Castor Neves, Sam Hornish Jr., Scott Dixon, they're on a rope. 0.3 of a second separating those guys, and only 2 seconds back to Thomas Scheckter and Tony Kanaan. Helio Castroneves has led 24 of his 34 IRL races, 70%. Well, the crowd's enjoying it. We're coming up on pit stops. Once again, we've already seen Scheckter in. There's Tim Cindric calling some of the moves for the Penske team. And here is Tony Kanaan in. Jamie?
Tony Kanaan just came in for a pit stop. It looks like 4 tires and full fuel.
Nice stop. These stops are coming under green, and now there's a bunch of cars on the pit road. Weldon, Franchitti, Takagi, Sharp. That's Foyt the fourth way down there making his turn into the pits. And the caution comes out. A car into the barrier going into the pits. And whoa, that's a big hit for a Target Chip Ganassi car.
But actually, it's good news, Paul. You see the driver actually remove the steering wheel himself and put it up on top, and that is the key thing.
Yeah, but no repeat win for Scott Dixon.
Right now, as a driver, you just say, you know something, the car did its job. That attenuator that they hit going into the pits is always something a driver has always had his eye on, not only here, but even Indy, Jill. You know, you come out of the turn so quickly going down there, and you just notice that attenuator there all the time, and very seldom somebody ever hits it, but when you do, you know it's a big one.
I tell you, it's a tough situation, because under green you can make so much time coming in and out of the pits that a driver, you know, even though it looks like you're going slow, you're pushing as hard as you can to that slow down lane, because any second or any fraction of a second you make will make a big difference when you come out of the pits. I know that I used to concentrate on that a lot.
All right, let's look at this. It looks like a pit entry problem. Elio had a similar problem. Boy, he caught that attenuator.
Yeah, I tell you, I'm glad I wasn't in that car.
See the speed, just carrying too much speed. The back end of the car starts to slide around. Remember, they don't drive on this track all the time on the bottom section there, so there is actually a little bit of sand and greasiness there every once in a while.
Let's go with his onboard. He's on the pit lane approach.
Hey, both Penske cars straight shot in pit ball. Pit speed.
Oh, man.
Yeah, you could see he was pushing the throttle really hard. When he thought he was going straight, he said time to go, and it's a shame he lost it, but thankfully he's okay.
It's going to probably be a lengthy cleanup. One, because the car really took a hit, but the attenuator itself, which are just, I'll call them plastic barrels with sand in them, and when you hit them, they break, which is what they're supposed to do. But in doing so, it sprayed a lot of sand on the track.
I'll tell you, that's going to really benefit Team Penske. They were staying out the longest, and they still haven't come into the pits, and hopefully they'll have enough fuel to last this yellow, but that's going to give them a big advantage.
Well, it's been 55 laps since Team Penske has been in the pits. Now, they're making a little fuel here under the yellow, but how much? You know the answer to this.
Yeah, I know, but I can't say.
Well, throw him out of here.
You know, we actually should be able to get this information on, but actually a lot of the teams up and down pit lane listen to our telecast, so that's probably a smart move.
Yeah, I tell you, it's going to be tight, because I thought they would come in the next lap, or, you know, probably the next lap, but because they have the same Toyota engine as Dixon, and they were probably making very similar fuel mileage, so it's going to be tight. Well, here they're coming into the pits now.
So the cleanup comes for Scott Dixon's first DNF since Nazareth of last year. And he's the defending series champion, defending champion of this race. But they cleared enough room for everybody to head for the pit road. That's exactly what they're doing. Penske cars leading this pack in. Then Buddy Rice.
Remember that 60-mile-an-hour pit speed they have to adhere to all the way.
Jerry?
Buddy Rice, they were going to put the wing back in the front. They made an adjustment. Buddy said put it back to where it was before. Let's go down to Jackaroo.
The Marlboro Team Penske cars have gone to work. Will Buddy Rice beat them out? It's a drag race. Oh, they almost touched tires. Who'll go to the stripe first? It's the red and white cars. 1-2, fellas.
Yeah, I'm not sure that the argument is over between Buddy Rice and the Penske cars there. He came out side by side. And you see the rest of the field as they come out now. And the look at the pit exit, the computer shows it as Castroneves, Hornish, Rice, and Manning. But Rice was right up there alongside, like he thought, if I just get my nose here. Of course, that pit speed limit's a problem. Down at that end of the pitch, though, as we look at the car of Scott Dixon on the hook and being pulled away, we are at the Homestead Miami Speedway. It is the Toyota Indy 300, the opening race of the IRL IndyCar season, and it has been interesting. We've had quite a bit going on here today. First of all, we had a surprise in our pole sitter because it was Buddy Rice. Nobody expected that. And then Mark Taylor got into the wall. That brought out a yellow. Battled for the lead the entire day. And then just moments ago, Scott Dixon, the defending champion and defending series champion, gets into the wall and brings out a yellow right now. So most of the teams have been in and out. The Penske team and the Target Chip Ganassi team, Jill DeFerrin, tend to pick pit out. Now, part of the advantage would seem to be that you don't have to worry about the pit speed limit rocketing out of there.
Well, that's exactly right. Probably from both where Elio and Sam are, you can just blast straight out of there and not have to slow down and then speed up again. And usually you can gain like half a second or even a second on the way out of the pits. And on a green flag stops, it makes a big difference.
Okay. Unfortunately for you, this caution period gives us a chance to talk a little bit.
Okay.
And find out the answer to the question that I keep asking, and I still don't believe the answer you've given. I'm going to ask you one more time, and I want the truth.
What is it?
Are you retired?
I am indeed, yes.
From
why do you think I'm up here?
Well, I thought you just wanted to come up and see us.
Yes, no, I'm not.
You know, if he wasn't...
That is exactly right.
If he wasn't retired before he got up here, the one I've seen him now bounce around the seat when everybody gets so close to their wheels together on the racetrack, and then also seeing the accident, that to me is actually a cementing point, because all of a sudden it's like, I'm not going back out there.
That's really good to see you up here. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Here. Still under the caution, 93 laps are complete. We're about halfway through this thing with Castroneves on the point. Still under caution, circulating behind the pace car. Castroneves is the leader of the race. They're still working, the Delphi safety team, putting their backs into it, trying to get all of the sand off the course and to get the attenuated barrier down there into a position so we can go back to high-speed racing here. We want to take a look at the exit of the pits of Buddy Rice and the two Penske cars, Scott.
Actually, very dangerous time, because you're trying to get out and get to that line that's right there, because that is the timeline, as they call it. Can't go over the speed limit. We see it right here. Obviously, Castroneves going across first. Now watch right here. You can see Rice's nose going across just that much ahead of Sam Hornish Jr. That's got to make you mad.
Rice had the argument, and in fact, the officials conceded and gave it to him. So they line up Castroneves, Rice, and then Hornish. Jack?
Well, Paul, this pit stop for Marlboro Team Penske came at exactly the correct moment. In fact, they were going to pit on lap 89. They managed to pit on lap 90. But after the pit stop, the one thing that Roger Penske warned both of his drivers about is what brought out the yellow. He reminded them that they had better pay attention when they're pulling down onto pit road. Now he tells them, you've got to save mileage. Let's check in about second place with Jerry Punch.
Hey, Jack, Buddy Rice really benefited by this yellow flag. They had taken some wing out when he didn't realize they had a right rear tire going down, which I showed you earlier in that cut right rear. This yellow coming out allows them to put that wing back in and get the car dialed back in. But what this team would really like to find out, they're talking about maybe calling Kenny Breck at home and say, hey, Kenny, what can we do? You know this place. Give us some advice, Kenny. What will you tell these guys, I wonder?
Well, you know, we may actually be able to check in on that. Kenny Breck on the horn with us. Kenny, you hear us okay? How you doing, buddy? You recuperating well, exercising every day?
Well, right now I'm sitting in front of the TV watching the race here, trying to see what's going on.
Well, you can do that with 20 pounds in each arm. You know, you can do that. Well, what about what Jerry Punch just asked? What would be your advice to the team, Buddy, sitting in second place?
I think the team is doing a great job. I'm not quite sure what happened in the middle there because you have too much advertising running across the screen here. But I think they're doing a great job. The Pioneer Honda Origin car is really fast, and I think the team's doing a good job, you know, to keep it up front there. So I think you just keep running like they've been running.
Kenny, if I may, and I do it with some hesitation, but I'm sure you've seen the videotape of your accident.
Sure.
Even though you don't remember it. We want to take you back to Texas at the end of last season. And what a shocking moment this was to all of us. It scared us to death in the booth and all up and down the track. Look at that. And you don't remember that at all?
No, I don't remember any of it, actually. So that's a good thing.
But obviously, these cars did everything that we asked of them.
Oh yeah, I mean, of course, when you're running at these high speeds and you have contact and accidents like that, you know that there are going to be some consequences. But I think that the car did everything you can ask of it. You see how it breaks apart and leaves the cockpit intact, and that's the car did its job to the maximum, and that's what it's supposed to do. So it really was fortunate for me that the car's that strong.
And then 3 months later, your life changed. We got a glimpse of that change a moment ago. Her name is Karma, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I got a daughter on New Year's Eve, so that's great news, too. So.
Oh, she's cute.
Yeah.
And you're not proud, no?
Oh, very proud. Yeah, very proud.
So now down to your rehabilitation and your future. What are you thinking?
Don't know yet. I'm rehabbing like crazy Monday through Friday, you know, like 3-4 hours a day just to get back to normal. And when I'm back to normal, we'll see what happens. But, you know, it's not going to be this month or next month, I don't think. It's going to take some more time to get back into all the good shape and everything. So after that, we'll see what happens.
Well, take care. Our best to you and to the family. Good to hear from you and hear you sounding so strong. Now, what about Scott Dixon? Jerry Punch?
Well, Paul, reigning IRL IndyCar champion Scott Dixon had a wild ride a moment ago. Scott, what happened? We saw you coming toward the pits.
We're just making our second stop, I think, and just midway through the corner, the car got away. Probably just, I don't know, maybe going into the corner a little fast, but just lost the rear end.
Did you have any idea? I heard someone yell pit speed, pit speed. Did you have any idea that you were right at the limit?
No, we were actually, well, we're still on the entry lane, so nothing about the pit speed, but we're just getting ready for a typical stop.
Okay, Scott Dixon calls it a day here. We are at Homestead, Miami Speedway. Lap 99, we are almost halfway home in the Toyota Indy 300. Back with more from Homestead in just a moment.
Over 40 years, the stars of IndyCar racing have gathered in the Valley of the Sun, and so too has ABC Sports. In the shadow of the Estrella Mountains lies the lightning-fast one-mile oval at Phoenix International Raceway. Last year, it was Tony Kanaan to score the second win of his career and the first for the Andretti team. Join us for round 2 of the IRL IndyCar Series at the Copper World Classic World Indy 200 live on ABC Sunday, March 24th. First at 4 p.m. And here is, in fact, the IRL IndyCar Series schedule for you with a great lineup. We lead up to the Indy 500. What a great season, finishing up, of course, in October at Texas. And we are green once again. They just took the green flag. Helio Castroneves leading Buddy Rice to the line. And then a bit of a separation back to Sam Hornish. But look at the group behind them. They come 3 wide off of 2.
Paul, you remember last time a bit of a break between Sam Hornish. Actually, last time he was a little bit slow off the start, making me wonder if he has quite a few top gears because of the wind situation.
Tora Takagi back there makes a move to the inside, trying to get 9th away from Franchitti. That's Franchitti, the blue and white car down on the left. Here comes Kanaan.
You heard the spotter saying hi, hi, hi when Kanaan went by on the right-hand side.
And here's one of the more interesting battles, because you're talking Honda power in those 2 cars ahead, Toyota power for Takagi here. They're always hammering at each other. That's a national pride issue there.
More important when they get to Japan in a couple of months, Paul. And with this engine rule change that's coming up for Indianapolis, for the Indy 500, they'll go from 3.5 liter, which they have now, down to 3 liters. So the engine manufacturers are having to actually work on lots of different programs right now with engines.
Whoa, and somebody in trouble. It looks like it might have been Franchitti, and in fact it is. Spin, light touch,
okay?
left side.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Oh, man. Franchitti had a testing accident here years ago that really rattled his cage pretty good, and I think he's probably a little hesitant here.
Well, Paul, you can see the barrier that's up here. Actually, this is the wall that's on the top over here, and all these corrugated steel pieces that you see right now are part of the safer barrier, and that actually helps the drivers actually get an opportunity to bounce into that safer barrier without them actually hitting the cement wall, and just cuts down the G's that the drivers see when they actually make the impact.
Well, the good news is he hops out of the car and is okay. By the way, the other part of the Franchitti family, Ashley Judd, was working on a film, apparently broke her foot on Friday, and Dario was really worried about that. So at least with him here, does he have time to make it to the Academy Awards now if he's going? I think
he's
he
got
might.
A fast helicopter. It's not that fast to get to the airport.
He might be able to do it. Here's what, when they walk away, we're going to try to show you what may in fact have happened to Franchitti.
That's just a little bit after the fact there, but I'm thinking that maybe those 2 cars touched with the way the back end of his car just started to oversteer and come out from underneath him.
Fortunately, he got the side around. Here's the look.
Just up ahead, you can see how quickly that all happens.
Oh, baby! Thomas Scheckter, fortunately, it got the camera, not the center of his helmet. For Tora, it was just a matter of getting down a little bit lower and letting the car go ahead and go up to the wall. I want to go back and look at Scheckter. You ever seen that?
Well, I've had it happen. You know, I've actually had debris hit my helmet and poke a hole in the helmet sometimes. So when this happens in front of you now, as a driver, your natural reaction is to get off the gas and sort of dive towards the bottom. But you cannot move the car that fast. And here comes the debris, and wow. Remember, that debris is probably, you're going up to it about 180 miles an hour.
Well, all of that. That's like a bullet coming at you. Fortunately, both the helmets and the visors are designed to deal with just that situation. Our camera, I'm not so sure. It's pretty good. Well, coming up, for the past 3 years, he has been the most popular driver in the IRL. And what about a chance for a ride? That was her best finish ever when she went into 2nd place here at Miami. And in just a moment, she's already sitting right here. We got some good news on her, and she's going to join us for a little bit of the coverage here at the Toyota Indy 300. We are still under the caution, this time for Dario Franchitti. Well, the caution still flies here at the Toyota Indy 300 at the Homestead Miami Speedway because of the cleanup for the accident with Dario Franchitti. He, of course, hopped right out of the car. He was okay. Some pretty serious damage to the car. He'll have to go explain all that to Michael Andretti right now. A couple of cars came into the pits. You saw a little different lineup there because the Penske cars came in. Thomas Scheckter came in, and Tony Kanaan. They all came in for the pit stop just a moment ago, really kind of topping up, and we're assuming it gets them to one more stop to the end of the race. Now, Sarah Fisher. Sarah, good to see you.
Good to see you.
You've got some pretty good announcement. you got yourself a ride.
For Indy only right now. I mean, it's
well, Indy's okay. It's pretty big.
Well, yeah, that is the biggest show in racing, period. So it's great to be a part of the month of May, and hopefully we can sell Phoenix forward and sell the rest of the races after that.
And it's historical because it's a Bryant car, number 39.
I know. I'm really excited, and that was Michael Andretti's number, so that's awfully big shoes to fill, and also to be the teammate to Scott Sharp and fill in for Al Unser Jr.
Kelly Racing, excellent.
Kelly Racing.
I got one question as we watch Franchitti bringing his rear wing back. You have always, since you started, driven a blue car.
I know.
What color is this car?
This is red. I have to bleed red now. So I was so excited. I went and got new shoes that were red and new shirts that were red. It's exciting. So maybe that's the luck that I need to change.
You better get some socks that are blue, though. Maybe it might help you there.
No, toenail color's still blue.
Okay, let's go down to Jamie Little in the pits.
Kyle Moyer is the crew chief for Dario Franchitti. What's the latest right now? I know you said he's okay, but what happened?
Well, we're not for sure. We were definitely clear of him coming out of turn 2, and then it seems he made a run on us into 3. And I mean, you at home probably saw a better picture than what we did. I think we might have been some contact, maybe not, but he was pretty frustrated when he got out of the car, said he was okay. That's our main concern right now.
All right, Paul.
Well, and at least they have a driver that's good enough to bring some of the parts of the car back when it's over. At least that was a nice glancing blow, Scott, and that barrier, once again, yeah, it does help immensely.
Absolutely. The safer barrier that we're talking about, steel and foam energy reduction, which is actually a great thing for the drivers these days.
Matsura there, the 55 Panasonic car, currently 14th. And one of the stories we really haven't touched on, Russ Thompson, our statistician, been trying to sell us on it for some time, and it's a good point. Robbie Buell, Chevrolet powered, just steadily moving to the front of the field. That's pretty good news for you, former teammate there, Sarah.
I was really excited. He got cut off earlier, and I about flew out of the suite. But my boyfriend is actually his left front tire changer this weekend, so I'm definitely cheering for the Purex car.
So it's Rice, Buell, Weldon. That's the lineup. There's Robbie right now. I'll tell you what, that's one nice story. He's with his Racing for Kids program and everything, he is really a class act.
Dennis Reinbold had commented earlier that he really felt that this was going to be the turnaround year for the team. Good testing so far earlier this year. Chevrolet's come up with the horsepower. They're very excited.
And good call, Dennis, on that as well. By the way, Weldon sits 3rd, Manning sits 4th, Barron is 5th. Jackaroo.
Well, Paul, we're beginning to see some poker being played out on pit road now. You understand why Thomas Schechter may have come in. He changed tires on the Pennzoil Panther car and loaded with fuel. But to understand why Marlboro Team Penske pitted, you've got to begin to do some calculations on fuel mileage. No Firestone Firehawks for the Marlboro Team Penske crew. Tim Cindric and Roger Penske wanting to top off the 30-gallon fuel cell. And Jerry Punch, that means that they are going to be just a bit out of sequence now when we go back to green.
Exactly, Jack. And and Buddy Rice getting outstanding fuel mileage. He last pitted on lap 91. Here's what may happen here. Scott Rimke behind me says they may just go all the way to lap 150 and make it on one more stop. Their car's perfect out front. If they do that, they're going to be hard to beat here this afternoon. So the drama begins to build here at Homestead Miami Speedway. Lap 112 of 200. It is the Toyota Indy 300 season opener for the Indy Racing League. Back with more in a moment.
Another guy doing very well is the new teammate to the now disposed from the crown of this race, Scott Dixon, Darren Manning, sitting in 4th behind Dan Weldon.
Very nice run. Started 13th. Obviously, he's seen his teammates' car go out so far, but they have all the knowledge of running this track. He's done a great job also. Sort of new to oval racing in one sense, just last year coming over to America. Used to pit stops, though. So he's had the opportunity to get through the pit stops. That's not a learning curve for him so far, like most rookies that are in this series. And he's used to some high horsepower coming from the kart series before. So certainly has some experience and just might be a bit of a dark horse here, Paul, since, well, our dark horse sort of it went out early.
Went dark. Manning gets a lot of kidding because of his haircut. Coming from the UK, a big fan of the Beatles and George Harrison, but they, for the most part, most of us believe he looks more like Ringo. What do you think?
Well,
Sarah, what do you think, Ringo or?
He's definitely a character. I saw the special on him.
I was over this morning getting some fashion advice from him too. Green flag, back to racing. Rice leads him across the line. That's Buell in second. Here comes Weldon. Side by side running with Manning, number 10.
You see Buell go a little bit high, coming off a 2, trying to protect his line a little bit, trying to build up the momentum after the restart.
Oh, Manning, boy, he just tucked it right down in there.
See all these guys starting to let their cars go a little bit high off the turns, Paul, with fresh, cold tires after the pit stops, trying not to pinch the car down on the low line. They know the tires aren't up to heat yet and don't have the grip.
And fast once again, better than 200 miles an hour.
And that is average, so you're getting already 215, 218 at the end of the straights. Momentum will build, the speed will come.
Rice is all alone. Buell and Weldon battle side by side. That's Buell, the Purex car on the inside. Up comes Barron to try to join the fight.
Buell with his Chevrolet power and Weldon with the Honda. Now these engines are running about 25 or 30 less horsepower than they were at the end of last year because of a rule change with the IRL with the airbox. And they've actually done that to try and slow the cars down until the new rule comes into effect for the Indianapolis 500. From 3.5 down to 3 liter, they expect to lose maybe as much as 100 horsepower.
Cornish gets around Barron, now comes up behind Weldon. Yeah, but they're all right there. It's first, and then it's everybody else. Here comes Buell back low.
Cornish was thinking about going high. He always loves to run that high line, but will 3 around, 3 wide work here.
Keep an eye on this group. Barron comes to the inside of Takagi. Cornish takes a high line on Buell.
We've seen Takagi run so strong before, Paul, many times last year. He might be the dark horse.
Looking inside, 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 inside.
On board with Takagi now. Just ahead of him, Hornish and Buell. And you saw Buell take a fairly low line off the corner last time. Listen to the spotter.
That's a language I just don't understand, Paul. You'll have to translate for me.
Not a chance. I got a little Jackaroo.
Performance in 2003 is an added benefit for the Indycar series. The question to you guys is, what's the largest non-American media population here at Miami Homestead Speedway? Well, the answer is it's the Japanese contingent. They have caught on to IndyCar competition, and they have embraced it. They're all excited about Takagi and Mitsura now. So this is when we get to the 3rd race of the season. When we go to Motegi, they've got some guys to cheer for.
And right there is why they're so excited about it. Dicing all up and down the front. Hornish continues to work on Buell. Buell is 3rd. Rice and Weldon up in front.
Paul, that's just a pack of cars right now, and as a driver, you're just trying to make any type of headway that you can. You make a move, maybe it doesn't work, you try something a little bit different. It's just very difficult to actually try and drive away from the guy that's beside you.
Isn't that pretty? Weldon drives around Rice, picks up the lead.
What a feeling for him right now. Now you're in front, you've got the clean air.
Give me a fuel number.
And you know what they're thinking ahead to. There is one more stop in theory, only one more reason to stop. The leader, Weldon, stopped 37 laps ago, so you're guessing he's probably 13 laps left in that fuel tank. Rice will have maybe 4 more laps of fuel there. The opening race for the IRL IndyCar season. It has been a great race. There have been some prizes. Biggest may in fact be that Scott Dixon, the defending series champion and defending champion of the race, caught the barrier while he was coming into the pits, hit it hard. He's okay, but the car is out. Dario Franchitti had a little incident up with the wall as well, and he's okay. No serious injuries, no injuries at all today. Jackaroo?
Well, Dan Weldon was the rookie for the Michael Andretti team a a year ago, but he was also the subject of some good-natured ribbing. It continues in his sophomore season. It seems that he bought a brand new pair of Nike Shock shoes, and he said, they make me look taller. Well, when he went into his driving suit, when he changed back in, he was walking with a limp.
We have a crash in 3 and 4. We've seen it happen a couple of times today in that area. Alex Barron.
Boy, he was right up there in the middle of the fight, too. Alex Barron catches the wall in 4, comes down, and is in a fairly awkward position at the edge of the pit road. And I would assume that you wouldn't pit anyway.
Well, it's obviously going to play into Rice's hand because he's getting a situation where he's close and everybody else is just going to wait to see how long this yellow lasts, Paul.
They're suggesting that maybe he and Darren Manning may have actually touched. Now, this Delphi safety team, the very first thing they do when they get to the car, there's a set of LEDs on the side of the car that tell them what the impact injury was. It's connected in part to some accelerometers that they wear in their earphone plugs. And that tells them right away whether or not they really need to worry or whether he's probably all right.
Well, the key indication is that when the driver actually moves inside the cockpit, takes the steering wheel off, which is removable, and puts it on top of the cowling of the car, that's one thing. But remember, that's still a big hit. And those little LEDs you mentioned, Paul, will really tell them even if it's over 50 Gs, because they find out that's about the threshold point for when maybe a driver can have some injury.
Well, and those kind of injuries can be so subtle. I mean, you've had them. Mark Donahue, it took his life. They thought he was fine, released him, but they didn't realize the kind of injuries that he had suffered.
Absolutely. There you go. Actually, both of them they absolutely touched. You can see just not enough room for both of them to be down in the very bottom there. Manning right down by the white line, just wiggles the car, moves up into Barron, and then you lose adhesion and you become a passenger. See?
You know.
I understood that.
Second time today that Takagi has narrowly missed an incident.
See how fast it happens.
And the good news is Alex Barron's going to be able to climb out under his own power as well. They're going to take him for an automatic trip to get a checkout, and Dr. Bach and the medical team at the Delphi safety team. They'll get that car off the track, and we should be going back to racing pretty quickly. But we don't really expect a bunch of pit stops. Right now, Jerry Punch, we're looking at a bunch of guys laid out in the pits.
Exactly, Paul, and I happened to catch up with Dario Franchitti. And Dario, we knew you took a heck of a lick up there. You set out most of the last part of last year with that back injury. First of all, is your back okay?
Yeah, back's great. I feel absolutely fine. Just very disappointed for everybody involved in the RKX car and Andretti Green race, and things were going pretty well. And yeah, I'm pretty lucky, I think.
Was there contact? It was really hard to tell with a couple of camera angles. Looked like they might have gotten together.
They're just showing a replay up here. No, the 55 car drove up into my left rear and spun me around, so that's unfortunate.
You can see a different angle. Look at here's the angle. We'll show you a different angle on the big jumbotron here. You can see the contact.
You can see him progressively get further and further away from the white line. So yeah, it's it's his first race and stuff. But when it starts to understeer, you should get out of the gas and not run into the car above you. But I'll have a word afterwards.
Heavy damage, but fortunately you're okay. Sorry to see you out.
Thanks, Jay.
Paul?
Yeah, and at least Dario has that videotape that he can take to Michael now and explain it all to him. It's worse, Sarah Fisher, when you have no explanation at all, right?
Yeah, it makes it a lot harder to keep your job.
Let's think about this. 130 laps complete. They can't go 70 laps to get to the finish. But most of the teams have laid out. Are they anticipating another caution period, perhaps? Or I can't figure this one out.
Well, underneath yellow, with the pace being so slow on the track, Paul, you have to come in. You cannot gamble. I mean, if you're gambling on another yellow, because if you do have to come in underneath a green situation, you're going to lose a lap and then you're out of contention. So I would say when the pits are open, you're going to see some of these guys come in that are all in contention right now, and at least tires and fill up.
Yeah, but what if I gamble and get track position out of the thing and then can really go rocketing? Jerry Punch, they're on their way.
And we'll watch what could be one of the final pit stops here of the day. Now, I'm hearing on the radio that possibly Buddy Rice will stay out and try to go to lap 150. They're talking back and forth, but here comes Robbie Buell. What a great run today for this Chevy engine. The Trier and Reinbold team for Buell and Company brings the Racing for Kids machine in.
Robbie. Foot on the brake.
And as you hear him telling him, foot on the brake, you're going to make sure that the tires come on and off very cleanly. Very critical stuff. Clean stop, 4 tires. Let's go down to Jamie.
Dan Weldon pulled it for 4 tires. They had a little problem with that front left. Now he's having a problem. He stalled it.
And he stalled it.
He stalled it. He got full fuel. You guys, the last 2 laps, he was running on position number 1 to get in the lead. Now they've got an issue.
This is so costly for Weldon, who came in the pits as the leader. Of course, every team wisely puts the starter engine over the wall during a pit stop just for that moment, but it took an agonizing 9 or 10 seconds to get it going again.
Absolutely. Now, remember, he ran last year in quite a few races, probably has about 12 or 13 races underneath his belt running in pit stops. But, you know, extra pressure, Paul, when you're in the lead, a lot of pressure and butterflies happen during a pit stop.
So with the caution out and pit stops made and the strategy running toward the end, still a little bit unclear. Let's go back down to the pits and Jackaroo with Roger Penske.
Well, during that pit stop, Roger Penske made the call to go to sticker tires. Roger, what do you want to accomplish with tires that aren't scrubbed in?
Well, we don't want to use those on a green stop because the car has a little too much oversteer, but it gives us a chance to run them in here under the yellow, and it'll be a good set for this part of the race.
So they get to scuff the tires in, get some heat in, but if you want to know what oversteer is, that means when the car starts to go away, the nose hits the wall first.
Well, the Penske cars currently sit 3rd and 8th, and the teammate to Weldon, Brian Herta, is now leading the Toyota Indy 300. We're under caution, and we'll be right back. It's been an interesting day with the Indy Racing League Indycar Series, the Toyota Indy 300. This is the start of the run. You see it from Tora Takagi. We've had some exercise up at the turn 4 wall. Taylor was the first, the rookie, and then going into the pit, Scott Dixon, the defending champion, caught the wall. Dario Franchitti got pushed up just a little bit. He got the turn 4 wall. And not long after that, it was Alex Barron who also tested out those safer barriers. Fortunately, the news from the medical center is nobody has suffered any injuries as a result of this. All the safety systems work. So Brian Herta, who remember won on a fuel strategy at Kansas City last year, may be playing that game again. And there is your top 10. We'll be back in a moment. Back at the Toyota Indy 300, the green flag is out. They're racing once again. Brian Herta has the lead, followed by Sharp and then Schechter. Both Herta and Sharp are closer to a pit stop than much of the rest of the field. Schechter, Hornish, Manning, all of those guys just stopped 8 laps ago during the caution.
The last stop for Herta and Sharp was at lap 108. We just finished 138, coming up 139, so they are probably just coming up to about halfway through their fuel run. So they're definitely going to want to see another caution period if they're going to have a shot at being on the lead lap at the end of this deal.
Yeah, you want to get over that number, upper left-hand corner of 150 laps is what you're going to need if you really want to run it to the finish. And I think you would want a little safety margin based on that. Schechter side by side with Sharp. Battle for second.
Still there.
This is about as far up as Sharp has been all weekend. He's had just a bad weekend. Unloaded off the trailer. Really didn't go all that fast. They said they could not find straight line speed. Ran both cars on Friday. Both of them were at the back of the grid. Didn't qualify very strong. Qualified 17th, but he thought that he had a good race car. But you can see, still suffering straight line speed, Paul. Just does not have the speed down the straight.
That's Hornish over there on the right.
Pops it down a gear to come against that headwind going down the straightaway, but just does not have the power.
And he's doing everything he can. He's pinned all the way around.
Now he's got to take advantage of the guys in front and run behind the weight that they're making with the draft.
Hornish now making his presence known up in the top 3 as he closes on Schechter. Jerry Punch.
Alex Barron has come out of the infield care center. Alex, I know that you're okay, but you had a great run going that caused you to be consistently in the top 5, and then it was contact. What happened?
Going in 3 and 4, Manning came up and hit the side of the car and put me in the wall.
You have to be very encouraged about how far this Cheever team has come at the end of last year with a great qualifying run and the excellent run here today.
Yeah, we're pretty satisfied with the car, and just a lot of weaving out there. 55 car hit Franchitti, same thing happened 3 and 4.
A tough day here for the front row qualifier, Alex Barrett. Guys?
Pretty disappointed guy.
Disappointed, and his twins just turned 14 over the weekend, Ashley and Karis. So they're probably at home watching and probably very happy to see Dad climb out of the car.
Just ahead, Hornish and Schechter have been at it. They're at it again.
Now think about this, Paul. A new ride for Hornish. Used to drive the yellow car. Wants to make sure that he's going to beat the yellow car. Do you think his foot's planted on the throttle right now?
Look at Buell come in there along sharp.
The guy that likes this is Herta. Those two guys running side by side. They will go slower.
That battle for second place is so really neat. The Penske car of Sam Hornish, his first drive for Penske, and he's battling with the Panther car that Schechter's driving that was his car last year. And how much would Sam want to win for Roger Penske in his very first race? I wonder if there's any bonuses in those paychecks.
Contracts have bonuses. If you win a race, usually the bonus comes along with it. So, but you know, I think he just drives because that's what he loves to do.
You got to give Scott Sharp a lot of credit in the Delphi car. He's been all over that track staying with this, knowing that he's down a little bit. And look behind him, Ed Carpenter comes up alongside. Another one of our new rookies, currently 6th.
Talked to Eddie Cheever and the guys over there. He said, you know, those guys really have put a lot of effort behind him. He's done a great job. Gets moved up the track just a little bit, brings it back down.
Got another one coming. Got another one coming inside.
Said he certainly has a great opportunity in front of him.
Another one inside.
And Carpenter getting up high like that ends up losing a little momentum, and that pushes him up high. But boy, he comes from a great racing background as well, a more traditional background of oval racing.
And they say he really is very calm in the car, gives good feedback information, and they really expect a lot of him as he will grow with the car and the team throughout the year.
Buell gets alongside Schechter. Boy, look at this as they come down the backstretch. Herta's committed into the pits. And as we suggested, look at that, 151 laps. He committed to the
watch
pits.
what happened here. You see, Hornish actually had a missed time on that, ended up having to get out of the throttle, and ended up getting past. Look how close all those guys are. It's like morning traffic rush hour. And the reason you see all those guys...
Ask any crew member, what's the key to a green flag stop? Being consistent. A slight miscue on the right front. No harm, no foul. They've taken the 30 down the field. And he is just up to speed as the leaders go into 1.
So Herta's XM car is in and out and good to go to the finish. The only car that is in that position right now.
Now what he's hoping for, Paul, is that it's a green flag race to the end, because he wants those guys that did not pit need to pit underneath the green if he's going to have an opportunity.
So at the front, it's Schechter and Hornish with Buell in that fight. And what a great battle at the front of this field in the Toyota Indy 300 from Homestead, Miami Speedway.
Last evening, I ventured down to the fabled South Beach and had to stop in to get some milk, guys. And when I looked at the carton, there was a familiar picture on it, and I wondered why Thomas Schechter was on a milk carton. I found out that during the test here, the open test, Thomas Schechter spent a lot of time with the Lovelies down on South Beach. They commissioned this milk carton because they miss him.
Well, we've got a great relationship going over with ESPN.com for the Indy Racing League as well. You'll have an opportunity to actually chat with the winner of the Toyota Indy 300 about an hour after the checkered flag. Log on to ESPN.com and search for Motorsports. Talk with the winner. Technology is actually amazing. Last night on my cell phone, I got my first spam text message about 3 in the morning.
That time in the morning, it needs to be turned off.
I was doing homework. Yeah.
This is looking good. These guys are just weaving and dicing right now, trying to find a fast lane. Sharp continues to impress, is running up there in third. And Hornish is looking at his last year's car right in front of him.
Yeah, the fight back here, though, is Castro Neves is working his way forward and sitting on the rear bumper of Buell's car. That's Weldon.
He's
just
regained nicely.
Neves. Yep, he's come back.
See, everybody goes to the high side when they come off the turns because the cars seem to push themselves out there. They say with the angle of this racetrack, the car doesn't turn very well on the way in. All the grip is in the middle, and then the car wants to push itself off and go high, and that's why everybody weaves from the high side down to the low side to protect their line. More pit stops. Ed Carpenter.
Carpenter's in. My guess is that Sharp should be in any time now as well. Whoa,
keep going, keep going. Make another lap, guys. He went off pit lane.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, there's the same thing that happened to Dixon. Dixon had the same problem, too fast. And tried to make speed up, and you try to make time up when you're coming into the pit lane, but he regained it and got on racetrack. Lucky nobody was coming through to him.
Boy, nice bit of driving to save that. And if you count Castro Neves in practice, then it's the third time we've seen that.
Absolutely, same deal again. Car slides off the road. Just, he's going to miss the attenuator. Wouldn't Foyt actually have an opportunity to see that coming and have his pulse rate just go up a little?
Foyt the fourth went flying around on the outside, got clear of him.
3, 2, 1, there you go. Okay, let's go there.
Just the 4 tires going on. We'll wait to see if there's any changes at all. No, they make a change to the wing. It would be up the front. No changes though, and they push him off. Not a great stop, not a fast stop, but his heart's probably racing right now anyways, Paul.
2 guys actually working on the refueling aspect of the car. One putting the fuel in and one on the vent. And they just look for when the fuel bubbles up into that vent hose and they know the tank's full.
He's got to get out onto the backstretch and get up to speed real quickly. He's going to have all the levers coming around on him. Probably find himself maybe even losing 2 laps.
Slow car ahead of you. Show your tires in the white line.
As suggested, we take a look at the Firestone telemetry. Watch the speed scrub off. He's got to get down to the pit speed limit. 60 miles an hour, right there. Ooh, wow, there.
Got a clear entry, buddy. Clear entry. North leads you on the line.
He made it.
The half turn of front
Jerry
wing.
Punch.
And watch the Kelly team. They're going to put a half a turn of front wing in Scott Sharp's machine. April 12, 2003, his last victory at Motegi. It has been almost a year. This team, very, very hungry. There goes the wing adjustment, and there goes Scott Sharp.
So another car, barring yellows. Good to go to the end of the race. Well, with yellows. They're good either way.
You can hear that misfiring going on. Then he's running against the pit speed limiter, which will not let him exceed that 60 miles an hour. Now he's very slippery on the pit exit here. Just the same sort of thing that we saw with Carpenter. Remember, cold tires right now. They're not up to pressure, and he's got to be very cautious coming out. Give the tires at least a lap or 2 to get up to pressure and temperature before he can be flat out.
So it's Schechter in front. Hornets chasing them. This is going right down to the final lap, IRL style. Back at the Toyota Indy 300, battle at the front of the field. Boy, take a look at this at Schechter low, and Hornish is up there. A car in front of them. That's Herta. That's not part of the game. Remember, he pitted just a few laps ago.
Schechter. Schechter getting that dirty air, just sliding all the way up. Very close to Buell.
Buell right in the middle as they go 3 wide. And that cost him.
Hornish was on a mission there. He certainly wanted to get to the front. Herta is actually down 1 lap, so matter of fact down 2 now after that last pit stop.
Yeah, Herta in that black and yellow XM radio car, he's sitting down in 13th right now. But remember, he also can go all the way to the finish. Elio is coming up into the fight with Hornet. And the Penske's are back on point. 1-2 and running side by side. But only for the moment. Castroneves goes to the front decidedly.
Remember, I talked about earlier in the show when I spoke to him, he said, hey, I've bet on myself. I think I've got a great shot today. Here comes Buell again back there in the Purex car. Blue and yellow. He certainly seems like he's trying to low line now, trying to get past Herta.
Remember, right at starting, we were talking about the difference in personalities between the very outgoing and gregarious Elio Castroneves and the kind of reticent and shy Sam Hornet. Toyota, Chevrolet, Honda, top four.
Be interesting to see, Paul, how this plays out with fuel mileage with all these three manufacturers being in the top four right now. And here's one of the answers with Scheckter with Chevrolet.
Scheckter on the pit road. So the Chevy makes a stop. It seems like the tactic we're going to see out of the Penske pit is try to keep the mileage going, keep the two cars together. Try and get it to the finish. Wow, that's going to be a long run. Jack?
Thomas Scheckter, the Pennzoil Panther team, knew they were going to have to pit. That's why they went out towards the front. Now they'll take on a half a tank of fuel. They don't need a full 30 gallons, but they will change tires. In the meantime, the big battle is up front, fellas, between the red and white cars. They are drafting nose to tail to save fuel. They do not intend to pit. They're going to try and squeeze it out. It could be a battle between Castroneves and the number 6 car. That, of course, the new ride for Sam Hornish Jr. To wait and see if they don't have to go in the pits.
Two of them on the front straightaway as they complete 180 laps, working the 181. Castroneves, Hornish, Takagi sits up in 3, and Toyota now have the front 4 position.
Oh, here we go.
What a surprise. Yeah, we're going to stay out. Little
poker playing going on.
Yeah, no kidding. Don't forget, if you've tuned in for NHL hockey, it'll be coming up right after we finish here. You are seeing some great racing, so keep it dialed in. This is the Indy Racing League and the Toyota Indy 300, and the two Penske cars have just played a little gambit. They tried to convince everybody they were staying out and not going to refuel, and there they are in the pits, Jack.
Nominal stops for both, taking on the fuel. It is off and away as the tires light up in
Weldon.
Oh, boy.
How Weldon beats them both out. Not very many days you can beat the Penske team, Paul.
Yeah, but you want to call which it was, Castroneves or Hornish? Right. Yeah, we'll let Roger figure that one out. Take a look at that. There's Weldon going through.
Well, man. You know, I'm not even going to call that one.
Oh.
Not going to call that one. But right now, Manning leads, and now he's going to have to come in the pits very shortly.
But for Darren Manning in the number 10 Target Chip Ganassi car.
Scheckter's close behind, outside. Ganassi closing behind, outside. You're all clear. Time to go, buddy.
That's his final, will be his final stop into the record book now. Clear to go. And Weldon picks up the lead. Takagi in second.
It's a Honda out front, Toyota. And boy, he got left behind in that one.
On second thought, Castroneves and Hornish in second.
So now he'll just sit back here and maybe learn a little bit and watch these guys go to work. Now they're side by side, and I'm not sure that they want to do that. I don't want to take your teammate out, that's for sure.
And as Jill DeFerrin said earlier, that slows you down a little bit. Takagi takes advantage of it, and all this is happening at better than 215 miles an hour. Now they get their speed back. 186 laps now into the record book of the 200. It's still anybody's game with Dan Weldon out in front. We'll be back. Well, we go into the closing laps now of the Toyota Indy 300. There's 10 laps to go to the finish. The Penske cars both got around Dan Weldon. Weldon actually got bottled up a little bit behind his teammate Brian Herta, and so now it is a battle for the lead within the Penske team. And of course, Catherine Nevis, who is currently the leader in the 3 car, thinking, how cool would it be for me to beat the new kid early? And you just saw the target fastest lap of the race. Hornish, the man with it, on the other hand, maybe in the key position where he might be able to draft it to the finish.
Going to be difficult, Paul, because right now those cars are probably evenly matched. His opportunity is probably going up the front stretch, down the back stretch where you see them right now. They're looking at a 40-mile-an-hour headwind. If he's going to pop out, he's going to hit that big headwind and probably not be able to slingshot past Castro Neves. His opportunity will probably come on the front with the tailwind, and maybe it'll actually help push him up and around. But you know, Castro Neves is smart. He'll stay on the bottom and make sure that Sam has to go around the long way, which is around the outside. Look how he's making him move up the track right now.
Well, the headwind is right where they are now, coming down the backstretch, turning into turn 3. They pick up the tailwind right about here to push him down the front stretch.
Now their foot is all the way to the floor, Paul. I can tell you, we heard before that Sam says, I don't need a dead pedal on my left-hand side because I never put my foot over to the left. His left foot's probably on top of his right now, holding that accelerator down. 215, 216 average, 220, 221 top speed for these guys. And you know something? They're not going to take their foot off for anything. This is the part that I always love because you know it's got about 10 laps left. You push it, it's coming down to 5. And then all of a sudden right now you're looking for any spot possible.
5 to go. Hornish continues to stalk Elio Castroneves.
See, works just in the middle of the turn, gains just a little bit, about a half a car length. But you know something, you're going to have to really have a lot more run on him to be able to make the pass.
Don't forget, NHL coming up right after this, so stay with us. And we hope if you're a fan of the NHL, as is Michael Andretti, you'll become a fan of the Indy Racing League. But you're going to see a tremendous finish here in about 3.5 laps.
Absolutely, Paul. Remember, usually the winner of these events always comes out not only in the last lap, but the last segment of turns, turns 3 and 4, and sometimes from turn 4 to the start and finish line. And you see how Castroneves, the car out in front right now, is varying his lines. Sometimes he'll run high, sometimes he'll run low. He's not letting Sam Hornish get a good read on him where he might have the opportunity to pass.
And photo finish is kind of commonplace as Sam takes a look high. Well, letting Castroneves know where he might go. Then again, he might not. And remember that the winner of this race for the past 3 years has gone on to win the championship.
Flat out, foot on the gas. You're talking to the car, you're talking to the engine. Just want a little bit more. Castroneves right now is probably trying to look in the mirrors just as much as he's looking forward.
Just a few feet away, flat out and flying.
Look how high they are, off of 4. A big difference in lines from the lap previously. Gets
they see the white flag. Hornet, who had been trying Castroneves high, drops in low on Castroneves. They're now on the backstretch. They're into the headwind.
Outside, still outside, outside.
He's going to push him high, try and keep him high.
Outside.
Oh, this one is going to be tight. They come to the finish line. Hornish has done it. Hornish beats Castroneves in his 12th career win. Oh, he snockered his teammate.
What a way to make the new boss happy, Paul. And you talked about bonus. I bet you there's one for that one.
Penske cars, first and second. Toyota, first and second. Dan Weldon finishes in third with Honda power. Takagi is fourth. Schechter, Chevrolet, 5th place. What a great set of moves in those last couple of laps.
I'll tell you, he comes out just shaking his fist. I bet you he's probably got tears in his eyes right now. Castroneves is driving behind him also for a victory lap, but he's probably just in disbelief.
We kind of wondered what would happen when Hornish got a hold of a Penske car. Can you say dynasty? on the backstretch. Defiance, Ohio's Sam Hornish Jr. takes his first win for Roger Penske, a two-time champion of the IRL. There's that finish again, Scott.
He's pushing him high. He wants to make sure he keeps him to the high side. And Castroneves smartly tries to take advantage of the toe and try to go underneath him, but not enough momentum.
Well, he had it rolling, though. There's the unofficial results. We're hoping that Hornish gets around here. We're going to have a chance to talk to him before we go off the air here. NHL hockey, that's coming up next. Don't forget that you also can talk with Sam Hornish at ESPN.com in about an hour. Log on there and keep track of that. So Sam Hornish turns in. Jack Arut's right there and ready for him. March 21st, the second race in the series, the Copper World Indy 200. That's on ABC Sports on March 21st, 4 o'clock Eastern.
Paul, let me update you on how historic this win is, not only for Sam Hornish Jr. as he takes off his gear, but for Roger Penske and his Penske operation. In 37 years of operation, a rookie driver or a new driver to Roger Penske's team has never won a race first time out. But in the case of Sam Hornish, he has broken that mark. Sam, we got to get the gear up. You have just set a new mark for Roger Penske. In 37 years, a new driver has never won, and you did it in fine fashion. It was almost a photo finish, but it was classic Sam Hornish, working the high side, waiting, and then all of a sudden it wasn't classic anymore. What's up with going downstairs instead of upstairs?
I couldn't get by him on the outside. We had a little bit of push in the car when we got too high, and just got the right run at the right time and decided to make the right decision. And I got really, hats off to this Marlboro Team Penske team. Everybody did a phenomenal job today.
I want you to listen up right now, because a huge crowd here at Homestead Miami Speedway has been cheering your performance today. Sam Hornish, you have set a new mark for Roger Penske, and congratulations as they applaud you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So Sam Hornish takes the win. The first race of the season. Hockey is coming up next. Best previous finish for a Penske rookie was in 1982. Kevin Kogan finished third. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com. Hockey is next. We'll see you on ABC March 21st.
Now,